Road markings, why are they there? That's what we're touching in this week. We'll be touching road markings, and under road markings we have regulatory marking, warning mark, and guidance marking. This all falls under the topic road marking. So first one, it's basically a stop line. Where do you find this? You would find this on a road where it's nearing a intersection, and also you'll find a stop sign next to it. Sometimes you may not find a stop sign in cases of Johannesburg, where the stop sign will be laying on the ground. I'm just kidding. So this is basically a stop sign. What is your action? Your action is that you stop with the front of your vehicle behind the stop line. That's basically your action. You will notice this in driving school as well. So that's the first one. The next one is a yield line. What's the purpose of that? So the purpose of that indicate that you must just give priority to all who cross in front of you at this point. If somebody is crossing already, give them priority. So basically you will come there, slow down, check if somebody's crossing. If somebody is crossing, then you stop, and once they've crossed, then you move. That's basically how it works. Yield to oncoming traffic. Give way anyone who cross path of travel or who wants to cross your path. That's basically for a yield sign or yield line. Okay, next one, what we've got is a pedestrian crossing. You get two types. You get the one without the zebra crossing, which is basically just the double lines. Those ones you get them at the robots, in other words at traffic lights. So that's the pedestrian one, and then the other one you get with the zebra crossing. That's also a pedestrian one. So what must you do? You must look out for any pedestrians. That's why when you're doing the K53 test, you will the driven test, the K53 driven test, you will be advised by your instructor for doing the test that you need to be sweeping through the zebra crossing, pedestrian crossing. You need to be sweeping through. Basically, you look from the left to the right and make sure there's no passengers trying to cross. That's the purpose of that. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Next one, we've got this sign right here with the arrow pointing up and down and a solid line in the middle. That line is basically a no overtaking line. You will see this in many other images that I will share with you. So what must you do in this case is that you must not cross the line except to gain direct access to an entrance on the other side of the line. In other words, if you are crossing to enter maybe your driveway, you can cross that line. Other than that, you should not cross that line. Okay, where would you find this? On any road that carries traffic. That's basically fine. It's to inform you that it's not allowed to drive with any part of your vehicle on the right hand side of that line. Why? So that traffic remains safe going in both directions, not making your own lane. So that's why we've got that sign. Okay, then the next one is the road marking where it has a double line. You'll find a double line with a little line strips as shown in the image, and the other one is just a double line itself. That one is a no crossing line at all. Basically, you may not cross that line. That's why it's double. May not cross that line under no circumstance. That's why it's there. On any road where there is two-way traffic, but still you may not cross that double line. That's why it's there. Okay, let's go to the next one. The next one is a single solid line with two arrows pointing in the same direction. We need to keep this in mind. Two arrows pointing in the same direction. This is the difference in the other two that we just looked at. What is the purpose of this? It's to prohibit you from crossing the line. In other words, if you are both going in the same direction and you want to change lanes into the other lane, you are still not allowed to do that. You need to stay in that channel that you've been provided to drive through and not cross the line. That's the reason for that solid line. So you must remember this. The one with the two arrows pointing in the same direction, you cannot cross. The other one with two arrows pointing in opposite direction, you can cross if you're going directly into a entrance or a different road, then you can cross. That's the two differences. We need to remember that. Okay, let's go to the next one. Here we've got a left edge basically and a right edge line marking. So you will notice it would be a yellow and some would be white. What is the purpose of this? It's basically to indicate where the left right edge of the road, and what must you do? You must avoid driving to the left of the edge, or you may drive there only if you're being overtaken, or if your vehicle is in a situation where it requires you maybe to stop there, change a tire for example. Of course, this all gets done only when it is safe to do so. So you can't just be endangering yourself and driving in that edge of the line basically, or that edge of the road, to make sure that you stay in the correct lane and not drive on the edge. You'll notice some trucks will have a message on the back that states no yellow lane driving. That's because it is a dangerous spot to drive. It's basically the edge. Another thing that you'll notice is if you drive for many years and your driving habit leans to more of driving on the edge, very close to the yellow line, you will have some punctures and so. You know, the story goes on because most of the dirt goes to that side of the road. So always remember that. Okay, next one, what we've got here, the island. These islands are super important. They basically give us some nice guidance on sticking in the middle or where we need to be on the side of the road. So where would you find us? You would find us on any road. And these islands are basically called painted islands. Okay, so what's the purpose of them? It's to prohibit drivers from driving in this area. You should not drive on an island. Once it's been painted out, it's basically an island, as in an object that you should not drive on. So what must you do? You must drive in such a way that you do not stop, park, or drive over the island unless on the orders of a traffic police officer. So always remember that. Can't be just out of the blue, okay, no, I'm going to drive on the island. Now, if you are ordered to drive on the island by a police officer, or if it's an emergency that you need to replace your tire, then you can drive on the island. Other than that, no, you cannot drive on the island. Right, let's go to the next one. This one here is basically parking spots, parking bay. So you'd find this where in malls, you'll find it on the side of the road. What's the purpose of them? It's to basically guide you that you completely park your vehicle correctly and in allocated space to not obstruct traffic. That's basically the point of that. So that's it. We move on to the next one. If you've got any thoughts on any of the information we provide, please drop it in a comment below and definitely respond to your comment. Another thing is, this content is free content. If you appreciate it, subscribe. If not enjoy the content, please let us know on how we can improve, and we will work on it from our side. Okay, next road markings that you will notice is these road markings here. These ones, you've got yellow circles, and then you've got your A, B, L, T, F, R, C, D, M, B, S, O, S, D, and P. What are these for? These are basically exclusive parking bay marking. Also, another note, this information is all on Department of Transport's website. I just am explaining the things so that you understand it better. Okay, this information is available. Please check on the links below on where you can find this information, and let's learn better with the notes as well. Okay, alright, so the A is for the ambulance, the B is for the bus, the L is for loading bay, T is for taxi, F is for fire, and if you notice the F, you would sometimes find it in the road as well, but not necessarily just a F. You'll find another one that I think it's a FH. It's a sign to show that there's a fire hose there, so beware of that. Whenever there's a fire and fireman needs to use that fire hose, they will come to that sign where it says fire hose. Alright, so that's F, and then you've got your R, which is your risk show. Is that what it's called? Risk show? That's very interesting. No, it's not actually a risk show. It's actually a rickshaw. A rickshaw. Rickshaws are found in India. Very, very popular in India. They use rickshaws. So then you've got your next one is your CD, which is your diplomatic. Diplomatic, when I think about that, I think about the government official. They've also got their special parking bays or special slots where they can park their vehicles so they can go in and out buildings freely. So that is like your top-notch government official. Alright, your next one is your MB, which is for minibus, and your next one is for SOS. That is for the SOS phone. Does anybody know what SOS stands for? If you know what it stands for, please drop it in a comment. Let's learn together. Right, the next one is a D, which is for Defense Force, and the next one is a P, which is for South African Police Service. Okay, so that's basically the notes when it comes to yellow exclusive parking bay sign. Alright, what's the point of them? It's to basically exclude people or general public from using that parking base because they're dedicated for specific purpose. Alright, let's go. Next one, got a mandatory direction arrow. Mandatory, it's in yellow, and it's basically on any road at an intersection. It shows you that you may only proceed in the direction indicated by the arrow lane. So what must you do? You must make sure that before reaching that section, you have already aligned yourself to which direction you want to go according to the arrow, and follow the arrow after you pass those intersections with those arrows. That's basically how it, and that's how it works. Okay, let's go to the next one. Bus lane marking. Notice the yellow word of bus, then it's got the black arrow pointing the direction of traffic flow, and it's got the dotted yellow lines as well. What's the purpose of that? It's to basically notify you that that specific lane is reserved for buses only during the periods of time indicated on the sign as well. You will notice this on the N2, the Western Cape. There is a dedicated bus lane, and it has specific time that you are prohibited from driving through that lane. Alright, so that's basically the purpose of that bus road marking or Okay, next one. I've got here a box junction. A box junction you find on the road where it's close to an intersection and there's traffic flowing in both directions. So what's the purpose of this? It's basically to prohibit drivers from stopping in that area, because this could prevent other traffic from turning or driving further forward. So what must you do as a driver? Not stop in that box, and make sure that you will be able to drive through the intersection before entering the intersection. So if there's traffic and you know that your vehicle won't fit over that box, not proceed forward. Wait until you've got enough space to fit your vehicle in front of that box, and then. Why is this? This is because the traffic flow continues for the other roads in the case where your road has traffic that's not moving at normal pace. Okay, that's the box junction. Next one, got pedestrian crossing head line. These lines are basically what we call the zebra crossing. So what's the purpose of this? It indicates an area where you may not stop except for pedestrian cross, or wanting to cross the road, or for a vehicle that has already. So what must you do as a driver? You should look out for pedestrians that want to cross the road. Slow down and stop if someone wants to cross the road. Do not overtake inside this area or a vehicle that has stopped at any pedestrian cross. So always remember, safety is the reason why these road markings are there. Next one, we've got these ones with the red lines on the side. Red, red, red. Read that 3 times. Red means what? Danger. Do not stop there. Okay, so what is the purpose? Those are no stopping line. On any road you will find them. Those are no stopping line. You are not allowed to stop where there are red lines. Why? Because it will obstruct traffic. So in a case of an emergency, vehicle cannot move, then you may stop in that section. If your vehicle fails right there, that's fine, stop right there. However, if your vehicle can move, you may not use that spot as a parking bay. No, that is not correct. Okay, let's move on to the next one. The next one here, we've got a similar one as the previous one. This one is a no parking line. So it will be on any road, and it prevents drivers from stopping where stationary vehicles may disrupt traffic. All about traffic flow. That's the reason why we've got that. So except an emergency, you may stop for short periods but may not park there. You cannot park there. Why? Because it means that you're going to obstruct traffic. Right, the next one, we've got a sign of a motorbike and a guy on it, and it's a yellow sign, and this also on the road, and it's a yellow with the line crossing. What is this? Basically the limit in which only cyclists, very weird, but it's there. Bicycle lane to indicate the limits within which only cyclists may travel. That looks to me like a motorbike. So in other words, a motorbike person cannot drive there. It's only cyclists. Is that what they mean? Department of Transport, anyone can advise? Okay, let's move on to the next one. This one is basically a traffic circle, and notice this many areas in the Western Cape. Traffic circles, mandatory direction arrows. This is what we are focusing on. Mandatory direction arrows, meaning you need to follow the flow of direction according to the arrow. So you'll find these where at traffic circles. It will be painted in the circle as well, or on the road of a circle when nearing the circle. So what must you do as a driver? Only drive around the circle in the direction indicated by the arrow. You will notice also there's a yield type of sign as well. So they say you need to yield to traffic coming from your right hand side. So come to circle, you approach it slowly, and if there's a vehicle within the circle already coming from the right hand side, yield. Then you slow down. If needed, that you stop. Once there's space, then you enter. Okay, that's basically that. That's the circle, arrow, and the line showing where to stop. Okay, now we've touched the regulatory marking under the road marking. I am not going to touch the warning marking. We will touch this on the following week, Friday 7 p.m. We'll see you there. Got any questions whatsoever, any thoughts on the above content, please drop it in the comment below. And thank you for coming through, and Drive with John, we out.